Aloha, everyone. I had a question posed to me recently. Is there any actor that I just wouldn't go see? Is there, any actor that, if they were in a movie, I just wouldn't see that movie no matter what. I just dislike that much. And honestly, when I think about it, I don't think that there's any that I would be that extreme about. None that would be that much of a deal breaker for me. There are actors that I'm not really a fan of, that I usually don't like. But what I've found over the years is that if there's an actor I don't like, eventually they may do a movie where, I'll see it and I'll see them in this role in this movie and I'll think, they were okay in that. I may not ever become a big fan of theirs, but I will definitely find that, they did okay, at least once or twice. I didn't like George Clooney very much at first. In the first couple of movies I saw him in, like Ocean's 11, Batman and Robin, he didn't seem to really be acting so much. He would play every part with this kind of casual disinterest, it seemed. It seemed more like that he was less playing a role and more playing George Clooney reading his lines. And I just didn't like it. I just didn't enjoy his performances. But, later on, I saw him, stretch out and do different things as an actor. I saw Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? In which he's playing that. He's not playing that role with that casual disinterest. It's an actual role. He's actually acting in that, and I enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed it more for the soundtrack, but I didn't mind George Clooney in it at all. And I also saw him in a movie, I think it was called Burn After Reading. And to be honest, I didn't like this movie all that much, but I had to admit that George Clooney in it was stretching out and doing something I hadn't really seen him do before. He was doing something different in that role. Mike Myers is another actor that I'm not a big fan of. Again, because it's less like he was acting. He did seem more like he was performing, but it seemed less like he was acting. He's like he was playing each role with kind of a wink to the camera. He had kind of an, hey, look at me, I'm being funny attitude to it. Just never really committing to, just embracing and embodying the character he was supposed to be portraying. Just kind of, being show-offish and, just that sort of thing. And later on, he does Shrek. That's a voice role, of course, so he's only responsible for the voice part of the acting. The animators get some of the credit, I guess. But in that, I felt like he was actually believable. I find him more believable as an ogre in a fairy tale world than I do in a lot of his other roles. Every movie has its own consistent internal reality. You're supposed to get the impression that the world you're seeing in this movie goes on even when the cameras aren't rolling. And Mike Myers doesn't really sell me on that. In the Austin Powers movies, granted, it's a very silly world. It's a parody of spy movies, but this silly world we're supposed to get the impression does exist. I mean, they're not breaking the fourth wall very much in that movie. They're presenting it to us as a world that exists, not as like a documentary of making a movie or something like that. So Mike Myers as Austin Powers, or whatever roles he's playing in those films, Dr. Evil or whatever, he doesn't really convince me that he's convinced of the reality of the world that he's in. So, I don't buy those movies. Though if you go back and watch, Wayne's World, in Wayne's World, that movie was kind of tailor-made to turn those weaknesses into strengths. The character he plays is kind of a show-off. He's a character who hosts a cable access show, so he's kind of a show-off, kind of an attention hog anyway. So he is going to be, like, winking to the camera anytime that he seems to be on camera. And they're breaking the fourth wall all the time. They're presenting this to you as, this is a movie, this world is not going to exist when we turn the cameras off. So it seems to be something that makes those weaknesses work. So I like him in Wayne's World, I like him in Shrek. Don't often like him in anything else. But I would give a movie a chance if it had Mike Myers. Adam Sandler, at first, in his early movies, he just comes across as obnoxious to me. But in his later movies, he seems to have, mellowed out. He seems to be more subdued. And I don't mind him. I don't mind him at all. Ironically, I have, like, the opposite view of Adam Sandler as most people. Most people think in his early movies he's really funny, and they're his good movies. Movies like the Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, The Waterboy. I didn't like those movies at all. Movies that have come across lately, like Grown Ups or Pixels, well, I don't think they're masterpieces or anything. I enjoyed them well enough, and I thought his acting was fine. But those are the movies that everybody seems to hate. So I kind of feel the opposite way about Adam Sandler. Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell I usually do not like. I don't like... He has his own particular style of comedy. I'm not sure how you would describe it exactly, but it just does not hit my funny bone the right way. It just doesn't work for me. And most of the movies you see him in, that's what he's doing. He's doing his shtick. Every once in a while, though, you will see him in a movie in which he is playing a different kind of role, a role where he's being a little more serious. Maybe it's a supporting part or something like that. And those movies, I don't have a problem with him. Something like Stranger Than Fiction. If you've ever seen that, that's a movie where he's playing almost a serious kind of part. It's more or less a serious movie with kind of a weird, silly premise, but kind of treated seriously. He's fine in that. Let's see, I have Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage, I'm not even quite sure what I didn't like about him at first. At first I saw him in movies like Con Air and Face Off, and there's something about, I don't like those movies very much, I guess. So I guess by association I didn't like Nicolas Cage, but I'm very much a fan of the National Treasure movies, and he was fine in that. In fact, out of all of these, actors, I would say that if any of them turned me around and made me actually like them, is probably Nicolas Cage in National Treasure. So I maybe like Nicolas Cage a little bit. There are some new actors that have come along, younger actors now that so far I haven't really seen them in anything I liked. Or I may have liked the movie, but I haven't liked them in it. Like Michael Cera, for example. Like he was the star of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. That I enjoy that movie, but that is very much a style over substance movie, which is often not going to be what I'm looking for in a movie. But the style was done so well that it gets enough points for the style to make it worth watching. But I didn't like Michael Cera as the lead in that. In fact, the character he was playing wasn't very good either. All the characters, pretty much, are just not likable. Except maybe Knives. Knives Chow. I think I like that character. But pretty much every other character, I'm like, I don't care about these people. But the style, like the video game styling that's done throughout, is done really well, and it makes it kind of interesting to watch. So, see, if I had boycotted that movie because I didn't like the actor, then there's a lot of good things I would have been missing. Jesse Eisenberg, I'm kind of put off by, mainly because of how he played Lex Luthor. That may not be his fault. That may be more of the writing and directing. But I'm kind of put off by him at this point. But, I would watch another movie with him in it if everything else seemed to be, enjoyable about it. Josh Gad is one. I don't really think he's very funny. Doesn't really strike me as being very likable. Of course, you can't help but like him as Olaf the Snowman in Frozen. So, like I said, every now and then they'll do one role that they're just fine in. So, that's kind of where I am. I don't remember the actors' names, but pretty much everybody in The Hangover I dislike, because I dislike that movie so much. And I'm not anxious to see really any of those guys again. But, if the rest of the movie looks good, I'll give it a shot. That's just me, however. What about you guys? Is there, let me put the same question to you that was put to me. Is there an actor out there that would just turn you off to the whole movie and make you not watch it? Or is the opposite true? Is there an actor out there that you would see, even if the rest of the movie looks terrible, you'd see them in anything? You'd see them read the phone book on screen. You'd watch them anything, which may be a topic for another video. Like, comment, subscribe, and that's a wrap.